Awesome, awesome. Thank you. So I'm just gonna jump into it. Essentially, I'm just gonna quickly share my screen. Give me 1 second here.
We've got video, audio sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so please just let me know when you can see my screen.
Here it comes. Yeah, there we go.
Awesome.
Gotcha.
Perfect. So my name is Chimdi, and I'm a Tableau ambassador, currently working as a database manager, also do some consulting on the side as well. And so today I'm talking on a subject called full credit to the edit, where we'll be looking at creating a design focus to connect our audience with our data. And just a little bit of a background to how this sort of came about. Essentially, I was working with a client, and one of the first tasks that I was asked to do, they had a suite of dashboards that was developed by another set of consultants. However, it wasn't really up to the standard that they wanted to put in front of their executives. So they said, hey, listen, we've looked at your portfolio. We'll see a few things there. Can you check this out and see how you can improve the visual? And so the foundation here is essentially, I'm hoping to take us through a set of checks that we did through that case there, and we were able to bring the dashboards up to par. So essentially, these are things that we can think about as we're designing to make sure that we have them implemented in a way that is helping our audience connect with the information which we prepared for them. And how I'm going to be doing this is I initially had a Tableau workbook, which I was going to run through. But when I was timing myself, it was going way too over. And so what I did was I just took photos of the individual changes that were made. We're going to talk through them very quickly. And then when this is done, I'll post the actual workbook to my Tableau public profile with all the notes about the changes broken down into detail. And that way you can check it out there. So for here, just expect a really high level. We're going to jump through some images and check out what was done to improve these dashboards. So let's get right to it. I'm going to switch my view here. Okay, so over here, we have the first view. And what I did, this obviously is not, the client data, but I just took a photo of their dashboard and created something that was almost identical as a starting point. So right here, we have a dashboard that's supposed to be a sales dashboard. Lots of effort has been put in. We've got our sales, our profit, our quantity, sales, segment sales table, but everything is kind of sitting there and we don't really know where to start. We can't really see any direction here. And so the first thing that, I decided to do to make a big change on this was to change the white space, to add a lot of white space. So that's the first thing that I would recommend we do. And that's when I did that, it looks like this. So just right off the bat, off of that first change there, actually, one moment, let me make sure. Yeah, so off of that change there, okay. Pardon me, so I missed the slide. Essentially, what we're looking at here is the white space. So we've added white space around the chart. So the first thing that happens with white space is it helps focus the chart to the center of the view. So now I can see that everything is a lot different and we can traverse through the sales, the profits, the profit ratio, the quantity. Everything is enclosed within these little tiles and it's a lot easier to see. So that was the first thing. And I think that just doing that right off the bat, things became that much easier to see. And then the next thing we did, which is also here, is we did the text hierarchy. So for text, we played around with different things. We said we're going to check to see if there are ways we can use that to draw the eyes to where things need to go. And so we added in a title. Initially, it just said sales dashboard, but what's going on there? So I added some extra context to say, okay, well, This is actually a demo sales dashboard. It's being used for the Tableau Fringe Festival, and my goal is to use that to demonstrate good design. So just by that little tweak there, now someone can look at this dashboard, they understand, okay, this is what's going to be going on here. And as you follow through, you know that this is what we're looking at. Although this is a sales dashboard, but again, this is just how you can layer that. We have the metric, total sales, total profit, ratio, quantity, and then the big numbers, which are then again supposed to draw you in as well. And then of course, talking about emphasis with text, that's another thing we have to think about. So now we see that we have the axes where they're very faint. And so of course we want them to be there, but we don't need them to be distracting. Same thing, we come around to the tiles, we can see that the main titles themselves, obviously they're the largest text because that's the focal point. We want them to look at that first. So we have total sales. And then beyond that, we have a smaller text by location and by manager. So we still have that additional subtitle to give that extra context. And we've utilized the same thing over here and over here as well. So that was the second thing that we did, was to play around with the text there. And then the next thing we did is we played around with the chart selection. So we went through and said, what are we trying to communicate in our charts? How is it currently communicated? Is there anything that we can do to improve that? And so the first thing, we look at now our KPI cards. We've added in some additional detail instead of just the trend line. Now we can also see that, okay, this was the maximum month in this area for sales. This is the maximum for profit. That's the lowest for ratio, et cetera, et cetera. And we can begin to explore a little bit more. Over here, we have, over here, we have the total sales broken. Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry. I think that I skipped a slide. Whoops. Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Okay, pardon me. I think we're good again. So, all right. So this is where we started. Sorry about this, guys. Just to iterate, this is where we started off. We started with the main view. And then, oh boy. So sorry, just a moment, guys. I'm so sorry.
So while we were doing the tech check, I'd asked Chimdi about his last name and how to pronounce it. And Chimdi came through and had the best response I've ever heard. Is that essentially his name, you drop the really you drop the first letter, the N, and it comes out to Nwosu. And the way he phrased it was, I won't sue you. Just remember that. And I'm like, oh, that makes it so simple. Nwosu. I'll always remember that.
Okay.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, I guess that's my name. It's Nigerian name, so it's a bit unique, and yeah. Okay.
It should be.
So what I'm doing is I'm just going to lay out the images together, and we're going to go through it side by side. Again, this is very last minute. This is supposed to be a workbook, but I had to do a last minute switch. So please bear with me.
Live. I love it, man. That's really brave. So
yeah, I don't have a choice.
it's all right. We'll make it through. It's funny. I always marvel at the presentations that I've seen at conferences, and when things just kind of, technology fails, and what people do and how they're able to pull it off. So definitely, I'm excited to see.
Okay, so this is again just another make-do situation, which I've. All right, so let me get back to presenting.
Is the share button not working?
It's so just one click.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh boy, this is yeah.
Well, Caesar, while Chimdi is working that out, I would like to know, because you are like ultimate TFF fanboy. Um, yeah. What has been like one of the like mind-blowing, like, oh my gosh, kind of moments today from what you've seen in the presentations?
Oh my goodness, there's been so many. I actually woke up early and caught some of Neil Richards' presentation, and really everything he's got. He's able to present in such a very easy, really fluid manner. And it was awesome to watch. But there's so many. I mean, Vince coming through, he really made things very personal. I never thought I'd be impressed at Paw Patrol, but yes, actually very cool, very inspiring. So many different ones. Ant came through, and his 1-2 potatoes song visualization that blew me away for sure. Priya's, really just being excited and being able to kind of talk about that personal style. And I think this conference has been really good, specifically because of the surprises. After so many years of coming through and seeing presentations, each year they just get better, and they're really surprising. And just when you think you've kind of seen it all, nah, we're not even close. So excellent.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let me try this one more time. We've got like 15 minutes, so I'm gonna just breeze through this. And again, I'll make this up. I'm gonna get some really detailed notes in that workbook for you. So just to refresh, we started off from here. Everything was cluttered. We needed to improve what we wanted, how to center everything so that it's not just hitting us in our face. What we did was we added on some white space around everything. So that helps it such that now everything is a bit more spread out. It's a bit more visible. We also added in the text hierarchy as well, which made the text stand out. So we can see now our titles are right at us. Our subtitles are there. The visual hierarchy is such that the user's eyes are following through in a way that makes the information come through how it's supposed to. Moving on from that, we explored the chart choices to see what we can do. So the first thing we did is we've now added in some extra detail for the minimum and the maximum. From the previous chart here, where we had the region as a standalone column, we added that into the color just to make things stand out a bit more rather than having the region as a column. Over here, we took the monthly sales. Now we can see the initial chart is just a bunch of stacked charts there, where we can see what's going on, but it's not as clear, the difference. But now when we switch to an area chart, we're able to now compare. We can see the dips and the peaks a bit more. We're able to see the difference across segments a lot more. And on top of that, we just added in the average line so we can see the average across regions, and then we labeled the top. So again, there's that additional context for the users. Over here, we made a lot of changes to this bottom table, where the initial idea was to do a category sales breakdown. So we wanted to look at the categories. And again, this is not actual data, but this is just how to think about things. So we are showing here a category and subcategory and manufacturer and product and all these details. And it's very granular, but again, it doesn't match with the rest of our view, which is very high level. And so one of the transformations that we could do in this case that makes the user actually have a better sense of what's going on here, we break this down now. We have our sales category and subcategory as one. And that way the user can drill down into those two and see the context. This is our sales per category. They can drill down a level beyond that to get to the subcategory. And then on the side there, we're now highlighting some of those dimensions where we are initially looking at, the products, the manufacturers, but now we can actually see, okay, these are our top products, these are our top manufacturers, and then we added in some extra information there. So the top customers. And here there's, I added in a filter or parameter that allows us to cycle through. So that way we're able to see the top by the sales, top by quantity, and the top by profit ratio across any of these measures. And so instead of, having them dig through a table at first try to see what's going on in terms of those trends, we're actually lifting them out of there, bringing it very high level. So now there's the full picture of what's going on. And if they want to dig deeper, we can either provide that perspective in a different table, or we can just go ahead and add in some extra details in the tooltip, or however we want to implement that. And then the next thing going on from here, if you look at this dashboard, I'm very sure you can probably guess what we're going to do next, but there it is. We essentially get to play around with the color. And this is where I sort of, we can finish things off a bit. So added in a bit of a panel here with the color purple. And then we use the min and max to now be, purple and yellow, created a design system that works with harmony as opposed to everything that's just, spread out different and convoluted. Here, what do we know? How do we know what stands out? How do we know where to focus? There's not really much of an indication. And that's where we're able to use color to communicate effectively. Color, I think, is actually one of the strongest. They're called pre-attentive attributes, and that's what helps us process information better. So over here, we have the regions. They're broken out into different colors. We have the min and the max. Here we have the top highlighted with the color, but everything else is in gray. And keep in mind, like, this palette is just a random palette that was chosen. There are definitely things to think about with respect to color. We want to stick with a brand. We want to do things like check into color blindness, and all that stuff has to come into the mix. But generally speaking, color isn't something that I find should be used as decoration in data viz. We can use it for decoration, but first and foremost, it has to be functional. And so after that was done, then I added in just this help button over here, wherein ideally we want customers or users to have whatever extra context that we want to have for them, we're going to provide them. And so going from the beginning here, where it's just a plain dashboard, we don't have really much information and we can't really see what's going on. We're able to work on, spacing, chart selection to decide whether we're saying things the right way, add our colors in. And of course, one thing which you notice as we're moving over all these lines, they're gradually getting cleaned up. And so that's one thing too, which we need to focus on, is decluttering the viz. That way, if you're looking here, you can see these grid lines, you can see these rows, you can see all of these things here, which again, it's not the end of the world, but at the end of the day, it's a distraction. And anything that doesn't give information detracts from information. And so keeping these kinds of things in mind, we can start to, in our building process, even though this was more of a fixed job, these are things that we should actually think about before we start to build out. That way we can enhance the user's, understanding of the information in every way possible by leveraging these different things that have been put there by nature to help us understand things. So that's it for me. A very non-smooth presentation, but I hope there was some value there for you. I'm going to post the workbook and add some notes that, for everything that we went through. And if you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to share them, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Chimdi, your client must have been so happy when they went from kind of that first frame to this finishing frame, because it's a world of difference. But it really, and it looks so, it looks effortless. When you look at it, it's really appealing to the eye, and it doesn't take a lot of, it doesn't break up. It actually flows very well. And being able to do that from a client, being able to make a client that happy must make a huge difference.
Yeah, it's always good to see the satisfied clients. And I think something that actually surprised me through that interaction was I had always suspected it, but I had never heard anyone actually say it to me. So I was talking to like the, super finance manager. I'm like, so what's the deal with these dashboards? He's like, they're ugly. They don't look nice. We want them to look beautiful. And so, it turns out that a good looking dashboard is a good dashboard. And as long as the information is correct, if you can get something aesthetic, you're going to have really happy clients. And so I encourage people, think about design. I know it's not something that comes naturally, but there are lots of resources that we can get into, and it's something that we can always improve on because we always want people to have wonderful experiences when they're interacting with our dashboard. So thanks for saying that, Cesar. I totally agree with everything you said.
Fantastic. Yes, it makes such a difference. And it's funny because it takes some complexity to get here, but it really does. It makes it look so much easier on the eye, and really going through kind of that checklist that you put together by going through, adding white space, really giving your elements room to really do their job is a big part of what we do. So excellent.
Awesome. Thank you.
Folks, let's see. I just want to take a quick look, see if there's any questions for any folks. Looking at the chat, still lots of love in the chat. So definitely, I swear aesthetics impact the audience perception of a dashboard accuracy. Thanks, Chimdi, is from Elia. And very, very, very well said. Lots of things here. So yeah, lots of folks find presentations like this helpful. Michelle Freeman says, amazing how small changes make such a big impact. It's so true.
So true.
And yeah, we've done great. Excellent. Well, cool.
Awesome. Thank you. So look out for this. I'll post this as soon as possible, and yeah, enjoy.
Excellent.
Awesome.
You're going to post this to public, is that right?
Yes, I'm going to post it to Tableau Public. If not this evening, probably tomorrow morning. I want to make sure I have them. I'm still making the notes out. So look out for that. And latest tomorrow, this should be on Tableau Public.
Okay, great. Thank you.